an Impact Your World Leadership Initiative. Impact Your World Leadership Initiative is a non-governmental organization set up to identify, nurture, and empower purpose-driven leaders as change agents by imparting set values to transform society and make a lasting impact. So far we have impacted over 26 communities through our Impact Your World Day. We've trained over 7,000 students in our leadership conferences, and we have also awarded 768 scholarships, both locally and abroad. We have over 1,000 members in our club chapters across 11 campuses in Nigerian universities and 3 universities in Houston, United States of America. So at Impact Your World Leadership Initiative, our goal is to impact the principles of transformational leadership through our impact conversations. The program actually started off as the Impact Live series, and it began airing in July 2020. I'm sure some of us have attended some of our previous sessions. And so far, we've featured architect Iyw Anthem. We've had the likes of Remi Dairo on this platform, Mrs. Bridget Eleshi, Christine Bayekusi, Benga, Ademu Jimmy. We have the likes of Dr. Hereta Onwueze, who is the academic director of the owner manager program at the Lagos Business School, amongst others. And so today we have an exciting speaker in the house. He's someone I've known over the years, and I'm so excited that he honored our invitation. Abiola Salami is a performance coach who is committed to raising world-class leaders and improving the productive capacity and brand perception of organizations and governments. Abiola is an alumnus of Harvard University, the Lagos Business School, and the American Government International Visitor Leadership Program, known as the IVLP. His commitment to workforce productivity, youth and women empowerment, as well as leadership development has led him to publishing books, audio, and other visual content, as well as implementing programs towards achieving the relevant sustainable goals. He is the author of Get Mad, We Can Make a Difference. I recall he published this book several years ago while I had a career in the banking. And I remember talking so much about the book, and I also have friends and colleagues who attended some of his seminars at the time. So it's a privilege to actually have him here today. That book transformed quite a number of lives, and the book was actually forwarded by Dr. Christopher Collade, and he has also gone on to publish Who Says the Man's Word, whose foreword was written by Dr. No Abudu, and his latest work, The Magic of Emotional Intelligence, with a foreword by Professor Dana H. Bourne of Harvard University, is another book on his table. So I would like you to connect to him. I'm going to share books, and I'm sure your life will be literally transformed. So Abiola has acquired over 10 years experience of corporate engagement and capacity development with signature interventions such as Speak Like a Champion, which is a productive communication program. He also has a program on the magic of emotional intelligence, from boring tales to fantastic sales. He's also a sales guru. I hope he's going to share the magic of selling, because as some of us are entrepreneurs, we're also professionals in our field, and we have sales targets. So Dr. Abiola, I hope you will share some of the magical sales strategy you have with us today. He's okay, so I already talked about boring tales. He also has a productivity and synergy activation program, inspiring attitudinal improvement, which is a performance improvement program, developing executive presence, which is an image perception enhancement program, and exceptional leadership, which is a comprehensive leadership development program. Now, these are some of the programs by Abiola Salami, Ms. Abiola Salami, popularly known as CHAMP. So I'm sure at the end of the session, a lot of us are going to be speak it confidently, and we're going to end up as champions who are ready to go out and take court and impact our world. At this point, I'd like to bring Mr. Abiola Salami to the podium. Let's give him a very strong round of applause.
Hello, everyone. Hello, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and to my sister and friend, Mrs. Oluku, for the opportunity. I can see Nelly is saying good evening. Hello, Nelly. Nelly Helen. I can see Sheyi Oladeji also saying good to have you, or good to be here too. I want to assume that we have more than 4 of us on this call. So I've only seen response from 2 people. Okay. I can see Stephanie Obanaya saying good evening, sir. Glad to have you here. Thank you, Stephanie. I'm still waiting for more people. From my understanding, we're about 13 on this call. So I've heard from Stephanie, I've heard from Uchenna, I think. I've also heard from, let me see, Sheyi. Yes, I know I've heard from Sheyi. And I know I will hear from the other people in the course of our interaction today. So it's great to be here. Thank you, John Ashidi. Good evening to you too. It's great to be here, and the conversation is on public speaking and communication. I know I have about 45 minutes, so this is 17:13 by my time. So 45 minutes would mean 17:58, by which time I hope I would have ended my part of this before the Q&A. So public speaking and communication skills, especially for leaders, right? It is from a research, it is said that after the fear of death, that what people fear the most is public speaking, which is the individual who is sound, who is intelligent, who is competent, who is well schooled, can share a thought, can share an idea, can talk about his dreams, can talk about his goals, can talk about a problem that he's designing a solution for, can launch a campaign, but that campaign could just be between himself and one of his friends, and he can do it effectively in communicating with one person on his seat. Just not saying it to his friend or saying it to a relative in an informal circle. But the moment that same individual needs to step on stage to make a presentation, then there is trouble. There is trouble because of fear, which is the biggest thing. Now, that fear doesn't necessarily show up when there's a one-on-one conversation, but that fear shows up for most people when they need to stand in front of an audience. Now, by just a poll, by show of hands, I want you to type into the chat box if you have experienced stage fright before. Just say, yes, I have. Type that into the chat box. Let me see how many people have experienced this stage fright. Because you're afraid of going upstage, to address an audience. So if you have experienced stage fright before, that fear of public speaking, okay, Nelly seems to be the only one confessing this evening that has. Okay, Stephanie has joined Nelly, that she has as well. So it seems that only the ladies seem to be saying the truth this evening. The gentlemen are hiding. Okay, Olushola Rolake, yes, Rolake, another lady again. She said she has 2. So it's like we will tell all the gentlemen on this call to just log out so that we can focus on the ladies alone. Okay, and the by Bolu, but Bolu, unfortunately, I'm sorry, I can't guess whether you're male or female, right? So maybe you're the one saving the gentlemen, or maybe you're a female joining the ladies as well. So Bolu, please just let me know if you're male or female. Female, you see, I said it just as if I knew. So I hope it is okay to tell the gentlemen on this call to log out now, because they seem not to have experienced this before, so that we know that I'll just be having a conversation with my lady friends here, because he that is not sick does not need a drug. Anybody that is not, there's no reason for you to go and see a doctor. There's no reason to go and see a doctor. And I'm performing the role of a physician today, in dispensing solution to stage fright and to speaking effectively. Anyway, people, so we can see that a number of us, we experience stage fright. Now, will it surprise you if I told you that I experience stage fright. Please, I did not use past tense. I didn't say experienced. I'm saying experience, which is it still happens. Is there anybody surprised on this call? If you are surprised, type in Y, that is yes. If you are not surprised, just type in N. You know, if you are surprised, type in Y. If you are not surprised, type in N. Y is yes, N is for no. People, let us keep the chat flowing. Let us keep the chat flowing. Okay, John, he said he's not surprised. It's not your fault. Now, you people did not tell us that you are having stage fright, but it's okay. He said he's not surprised that even have on you. You see, my people, Olushola said she's surprised. Nelly said she's surprised that I seem to have it all together. By the way, Nelly, there is no individual that seems to have it all together, including my uncle, Alaji Aliko, Abiola Salami Dangote. None of us seem to have everything together. Uchenna says yes, he or she's surprised. Stephanie says she's surprised. Bolu says she's surprised as well. Because you see, the thing with stage fright is that it is a sensation that you have, and I'll be talking briefly about fear shortly. It is a sensation that you have. It comes, but it is not whether you feel fear that's the issue. The feeling of fear is not the issue. It is the mastery of fear that is the issue. It is said that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to persist in spite of the fear. I will say that again, that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to persist, to continue in spite of the fear. So the issue is not the presence of fear. The issue is the mastery of fear, because fear is normal, which is the first thing I'll be saying about fear, because fear is normal. And because fear is normal, it's important that you also normalize your fear. Fear is normal because the greats that you know, the great speakers that you know, the great leaders that you know, they experience it. They experience that butterfly, you know, in their belly. They experience that discomfort that, hey, they're about to call me. And I tell you, even if you've done it a million times, when you're about to step on stage, that thing still comes. Of course, as you continue to practice, it reduces, but it doesn't mean it gets to zero. You know, you may still have some 1% of it, but it's not how to navigate the fear that is critical. So let us know that fear is normal. The same way you feel it, um, um, many great leaders feel it as well. The only difference is they have learned how to master their fears. And another critical thing I want to say about fear is that fear is an opposition to action, which is when you allow this fear to hold you back, you won't be able to continue to deliver on what you're supposed to deliver. So imagine Stephanie. Stephanie has been introduced, her profile has been read, and then everybody's cheering. And they said that, so let us welcome off stage to give us this speech that we've always been expecting. This award-winning lady who has gone to the US, who's gone to the UK, who has won many global and local awards. Please put your hands together for Stephanie. And then Stephanie is going on stage and shaking because she's nervous. Now you can feel the fear inside of you. The critical thing is not allowing the fear to come out of you. See, when you are experiencing stage fright, only you should know that it is that you are feeling that way. On the outside, you don't communicate it. You don't necessarily say, oh, people, I'm afraid, except you think you can get away with it with a joke, right? So what are the ways to overcome stage fright? Number one thing to do, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? Can you unmute and say yes to me if you're ready? Are you ready for this? Okay, I can see a why. Okay, okay, cool. Born ready, Nelly, I see you. Okay, cool. So the first thing to do is have productive preparation. See, the productive preparation prevents poor performance, giving. And part of this productive preparation is to master your introduction, to know the first things that you want to say. And I set an example for you. On a particular day, I was returning from the US. And as soon as the plane landed, after the taxiing and I was able to come down from the plane, I got a phone call from a TV station invited me for an interview that same day. Now, of course, they didn't know I've been out of the country. You know, so far they called me and my phone rang. You know, and so they said it would be later on in the day. Um, I just come down from the plane. I'll still go through customs and immigrations, and that could be really stressful. You could spend 2 hours between when you come down from the plane and when you eventually get out of the airport. So they called me as soon as I came down. And so I stay in Ikoyi. This station is somewhere, it's Channels TV, by the way, and Channels TV is almost on the outskirts of Lagos. So I thought that it wouldn't make any sense for me to return to Ikoyi. I mean, to go to Ikoyi first before going to the station. And imagine a jet lag. I've been flying for some 14 plus hours, jet lag, and so I was tired. Now, because I was tired, I also had the tendency to be afraid. Millions of people or sit in front of millions of people. Yes, you may be wondering, it's not that I wasn't in a hall with the millions of people, but whether you are physically in the hall with them, or you are speaking to them through a TV station, or you're even doing this via Zoom, public presentation is public presentation. So what I decided to do was to master my introduction while and the entire clearance from customs and immigration was going on, was to master my introduction. I'd asked them, so what's the topic we are discussing? They told me. So I thought that, you know what, let me master my introduction. And I think that time it was about exchange rate that was fluctuating, right? And the economy as well. And so I decided on the first statement I wanted to make, because the most likely thing is that when you master your introduction, everything flows from there. When you know the first 3 or 4 statements you want to make, everything flows from there. So even if you are afraid and you got to the front, whether it's in a hall that you have thousands of people, or you're speaking through a device, once you master your first 3 statements, it helps you to better manage fear. So I got there. Once they threw the first question at me, I made my first 3 statement, 1, 2, 3. And from there, things started flowing. Things started flowing. So productive preparation is very important, which is know the topic. Now, this may sound like a no-brainer, but there are many times that, yes, we're prepared, but not necessarily productive preparation. Yes, you've written down your speech somewhere, you've designed the slide somewhere, but what makes it productive is that, one, you know the first few statements you want to make. You don't want to, so if it's a slide, for example, you don't want a situation where you will even be reading from the slide. You want to look confidently into the audience and state your first 2, 3 points, right? The first 2, 3 statements that you want to make. Now, what was my own first statement in this session? My first statement in this session, if you probably remember, is I said something like communication is the language of leadership. Did anybody hear me when I said that in the beginning of this session? Anybody? Anybody? I'm waiting. Anybody? First statement is that communication. Okay, cool, Nelly. Communication is the language of leadership. So if you want to be a leader, the language you would speak is communication. It's effective communication. Now, so that is speaking about fear. What one of the things we can do for fear. Another thing you can do to manage this stage fright that I call performance anxiety is that you can have a cheat sheet, right? You can have a cheat sheet. So you have mastered your first few lines, and then, but your other lines, you can have a cheat sheet. You can have a small paper in your hand that you've written your points. A cheat sheet, cheat, CHEAT, then SHEET, cheat sheet, cheat sheet. Nelly, I hope that's clear enough. Okay, yeah, cool. A smile. I see you, a smile. Yeah, okay. So you can have a cheat sheet. So maybe some small stick on paper where you can write your 3 or 4 major points. Remember, you have memorized your introduction, so you know what to say. And then in your cheat sheet, you've written your 3 to 4 points or 5 points that you want to mention. Now, you only wrote points. You didn't write an entire sentence or an entire paragraph. That is not what you should do. Because anytime you're speaking to your audience, your focus is always on your audience. Now, because you are the PowerPoint, especially people who use slides to present, who use PowerPoint to present, it is absolutely wrong, 100% wrong for you to back your audience and then be reading from the slides. That is not professional. You are not a champion if that is the way you communicate with your audience, because you are supposed to be you're supposed to be a reservoir of knowledge yourself. So the PowerPoint is a is an aid, is a teaching aid, is to aid your presentation. It is a visual aid for your presentation. The PowerPoint is not your presentation. You are your presentation. So the PowerPoint is like a cheat sheet, something to remind you in case you forget something. And there are even more creative ways to use the PowerPoint these days where you don't necessarily need to look at what you have on the slide behind you, because your laptop, you could do presenter's view, and then what you're seeing is different from what the audience is seeing. So you know what, so you can prepare in anticipation of the next thought you want to share, because you can already see the next thought on your laptop, and your audience can only see the current point on the visual on what they're watching. So you can use that cheat sheet just to remind yourself of what it is you're supposed to share. And let us remember that you've had productive preparation, which is you are the reservoir of knowledge. You know your stuff. You know what you're about to share. You memorize your intro. What you want to share is on the inside of you, not necessarily that you are reading a speech out. You are reading news, like one station I don't want to mention in Nigeria, where whenever they are reading the news, they're always glued to the script, just like this. Imagine that since I've been talking to you today, that this is the way I've been looking at you, because I have something I am reading. How boring will this presentation be? I'm sure some of you would have logged out. I'm sure some of you would just be wondering that, and they say you went to Harvard. Imagine, what kind of Harvard is that? Right? True or false, people? True or false? 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 I need responses. True or false, people? So if I've not been looking at you, because they are so true, because it is important that you maintain eye contact. People, maintaining eye contact, which is another critical skill, in public speaking. Now, when I say you should maintain eye contact, it doesn't mean that you're staring at people, right? And you're looking at them, that look at me, I can look too. No, not necessarily. It means that you're looking not necessarily at the individuals, depending on how many people are in the audience. What I always recommend is what I call the 360-degree look, or rather the 180 degrees look, which is you start from your left-hand side and you look around, you just form an arc. You form an arc to come back to your right-hand side. Then there are times you can also look zigzag. Some people will say you should look on top of their heads. It doesn't make you a professional. Think about this. Think about this. If somebody is talking to you and the person is looking away, what do you think about the individual? Somebody is talking to you and the person is looking away. I need responses, please. If somebody is talking to you and the person is looking away from you, what do you think about that individual? Now, I'm asking this question because some people will advise you that, you know what, don't look at their faces, just look on top of their head. When you look on top of their head, you just see a C, then you won't have any fright. So if somebody is addressing you, somebody is talking to you, and the person is looking away, how do you feel? Hey, people, I'm waiting for responses. Yeah, Nelly says they are not sure of what they are saying. Great response. They are not sure of what they are saying, so there's no confidence. Olushola, says they are shy or not confident. Yes, another great response. Another great response. The person isn't confident. A smile. Yes, another great response. So everything boils down to confidence, right? And the person is not confident. Now, how many of you want to waste your 1 second with a non-confident person? I don't want to. And I don't want to waste my time with a non-confident person for selfish reasons, because I believe that none of us is smart, that we're all as smart as the influences we open up ourselves to. As you are watching me right now, I am influencing you. And that's why it's important that you pay attention to those influencing you. So in the same vein, if you spend much time with people that are not confident, people who lack character, people who are not competent, gradually you start becoming less confident. Gradually you start losing your grip on your competence. Gradually you start losing your character as well. So none of us want to hang out with those kind of people. Because we don't want to hang out with those kind of people, we also want to ensure that we are not those kinds of people, so that we give people the right personality and the persona, to relate with, to engage with. So you want to maintain good eye contact. And please, when you are looking at your audience, or whether it's a one-on-one conversation or you have an entire crowd, please just make sure that you pay attention. Everybody look at this. Make sure that you pay attention to just hear. You can see what I'm doing. To just hear, right? You don't want to be looking at the person and the person thinks that you're looking at, you don't want to be passing across a message that you don't intend to pass across, right? You don't want to be looking at the person in a particular way, and the person will be wondering, why is she looking at my lips? What's on my, how come she's looking at my lips? Or how come he's looking at my lips? Or you go further down and then the person is probably thinking, why is he or she looking at my cleavage? right? So you want to pay attention to that as well, because you may be sending the wrong signal, right, to the individual, which takes me into the communication equation. Communication equation has three parts, which is vocal, verbal, and visual. Vocal, verbal, and visual. Vocal, verbal, and visual. From research, we're told that 55% of communication is 55% of effective communication is as a result of visual, which is what people see when you are talking to them, what they see when you are talking to them. And that 38% is vocal. Vocal is the sound of your voice when you are addressing them. And that just 7% is verbal. Verbal is the words that you are speaking when you are addressing them. Again, there are three V's: vocal, visual, and verbal. So as I've been talking to you since today, you have been all three, they've all been working together, all three of them. Visual, you're looking at me, you're seeing me. You see I'm wearing a blue shirt with the Abiola Champ logo on it. I'm seated down, I'm gesticulating, I'm doing thumbs up, I'm smiling at times, I'm waiting for you, I'm acting what I'm saying, right? That's the visual part. Vocal is the way I am sounding. Like we're discussing confidence. So I'm not sounding shy. I'm not sounding not confident. I'm sounding well so that you can get the message. And verbal, my choice of words to communicate with you. And there are some guiding rules that helps us to develop effectiveness across the three. And I begin with verbal. The first thing you want to do with your verbal skills is correctness. Correctness. You want to be correct. You want to say the right things. So, and by correctness, we mean that you use the right tenses. You don't use plural when you're supposed to use singular. A verb. You don't use a plural verb where you're supposed to use a singular verb. For example, if you follow me on Instagram, my Instagram handle is at Abiola Champ everywhere, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. Even whichever new social media that will be created shortly, it will still be Abiola Champ. Anyway, if you follow me on social media, there's a video I posted a couple of weeks ago that is really trending, over 50,000, almost 50,000 views. I said that appearance matters. Appearance matters. And then somebody sends me a direct message by saying that I didn't, the person was trying to correct me. And the person said that I didn't say it well, that I'm supposed to say appearance matter, right? Now, because I know my stuff, of course, I will listen to the feedback and appraise the feedback to see where I can correct myself. But what the lady who sent me this message doesn't remember is subject-verb agreement. Subject-verb agreement. Subject-verb agreement says that if the noun, if the subject is singular, the verb should be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb should be plural. So when I say appearance, that is a subject. The verb that follows it should be matters. When it has an S, it is in singular form. When it doesn't have an S, it is in plural form. That is why some of the things they taught us in O levels in English, your WAEC, your SSC in English, those things are critical. And for those of us that we probably didn't pay much attention at that time, please go back and check the basics. Because you find out people who will come out and be speaking incorrect grammar. You don't want to be that. You want your tenses to be right. And I guess that this lady who had so much confidence to send me a message that I was wrong, I'm sure she got some things absolutely wrong. And if you need to correct someone, at least you should know what you're correcting the person about. And so when you're giving unsolicited advice, unsolicited recommendation, be sure that that recommendation is accurate. So that is about correctness. So you want to be sure that you pronounce your words correctly. I did not say correctly. I said correctly, which takes me to the second point, which is about clarity. Clarity, about the use of your words, clarity. Clarity is saying to us that when we are talking, people should be able to hear clearly what it is that you are saying. Clarity is saying that when you're using a language, especially when you're using English language, that you want to try as much as you can to ensure that your mother tongue interference doesn't dilute the meaning of the word. Now, what does this mean in simple terms? It means that when you are pronouncing words, people shouldn't be confused as to the words that you're pronouncing. And in Nigeria, for example, we have a lot of mother tongue interference in the way we use the English language. For example, my name is Abiola Salami. So I'm from the southwestern part of Nigeria, although I'm not limited to the southwestern part of Nigeria. I'm not even limited to Nigeria. I am a global person, and I'm not just saying it. It is because of the investments, back to back investments, that I keep making in developing my competencies, not just in my speaking, but in my other skills, to make sure that I keep rocking my world like a champion as I inspire and lead other people to rock their world like a champion too. So I'm a Yoruba person, for example, and one of the things um, that does not help Yorubas to be clear in using the English language is that Yorubas generally will put an H where there is no H, and they will take out an H where they're supposed to pronounce H. And before you crucify this Yoruba people, note that in the original Yoruba language, there is no alphabet like H. So there is no H alphabet, neither is there any H sound. There is no H alphabet and there is no H sound. So any Yoruba person that is pronouncing H sound just got it from conversations. So you can hear someone, a Yoruba person, that will want to say, "Can you hear me now?" Ask the question, "Can you hear me now?" But that is not what the person would say. The person would say, "Can you hear me now?" Did you notice any difference? Now, the people that I want to answer this question, you should be a Yoruba person to answer this question. Did you notice any difference between ear and hear? Anybody? Because it's easy for a non-Yoruba person to to spot that out. Okay, Olushola Rolake said yes, she did, between ear and hear. So just imagine that you're having a conversation and you want to ask people if they could hear you well, and then you say, "Can you hear me well?" They'll be wondering what are you saying about your ear? Is there something wrong about your ear? Or words like "I am going home." I am going home. There is the H there's the H sound that came from home, but you may hear someone saying, "I am going home." And by the way, at some point in time, I used to speak that way because I did not know. Because you see, people, knowledge comes in four phases. The first phase is unconscious incompetence, which is you don't know that you don't know. So when you don't know that you don't know, you're just there. But when you are open to feedback, right, you will move from that first stage of unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence, which is now you know that you don't know. So because I was open to learning, because I listened to my friends, who could spot it out, my non-Yoruba friends who could spot it out, it helped me to start to groom myself. What some people would do once they encounter a knowledge that challenges their foundation like that, they may revolt, they may start to, they may even just say, "See, I don't need that grammar for money." Or, "See, I'm not an Igbo person, I'm a local boy, and leave me alone," without realizing that they are robbing themselves of the opportunity to become global. And I'm grateful that I made that decision that time because I've had the opportunity of speaking to different kinds of audiences across the globe. An all white audience, all black audience, all black American audience, all African audience, different kinds. And it's important that you speak clearly such that whether you're speaking to all Africans or African Americans or even an all white audience, anybody that understands the English language should be able to hear clearly what you're saying, interpret what you mean, and then digest what it is that you're trying to get them to understand, which is critical. Now, for those who are Igbos, there are a couple of them. One of them is the fact that for some parts of Igbo, they don't have R in their alphabet and in their sound. So instead of R, they have L. Some others, instead of L, they have R. And there are others, but let me just focus on the L and R thing. So you can see someone who wants to say something like, "Are we turning to the right or we're turning to the left?" So the person has the R and L issue. So you can hear, are we turning to the light or we are turning to the left, right? And when you say something like that to people, they won't understand what it is that you're talking about because you want to be clear. So all of us want to pay attention to this mother tongue interference. Let me quickly touch on the north. Many of us may know the F and the V thing, that instead of the F sound for northern Nigeria is P, the P sound for northern Nigeria is F. And the same vein, the V sound for northern Nigeria is B, and the B sound is V. So somebody wants to talk about the venue. So we're going to the venue of this program today. Then you can hear something like we are going to the venue of this program today. Now, that is because of what the local language is. So if you are from any of these areas, you want to groom yourself in such a way that you don't step on stage, open your mouth to speak, and then immediately people know the village that you have come from. That doesn't make you a global champion. What makes you a global champion is you can speak with clarity that everybody that understands that language can understand what it is that you're saying. Are we learning anything so far? Have we learned anything so far, people? I'm waiting. Still waiting. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, cool, cool. My people are talking. Okay, cool, cool, cool. I see you, Stephanie, Uche, everybody, everybody. And oh, Bulu, yes, I see you again. I see you guys. Great, great. Rachel, okay, I see you too. So that is about um, clarity. And the other one is on conciseness. Conciseness. Conciseness talks about brevity. It is said that whether you are a senator or you are an orator, that brevity is the soul of any speech. Conciseness says that instead of using 14 words to say something, just fewer words to say. Conciseness says, many of us, if you've been following what's going on in the political trend over the past 5, 6, 7 years, there's an actor, one of the actors we have in the political landscape, when he steps, when he stands up to talk in the legislative house, nobody understands anything that he's talking about, right? Because he uses different kinds of words, put them together, and then, to be fair on him, if you check the dictionary for those words, they may actually be true. Of course, also he mixes Latin with Bini language, with different kinds of things just to communicate, but that is not communication. Communication is that you send a message to someone and you receive the expected feedback. When you say good morning to me, when it is 9 a.m., and you say good morning to me, and my response to you is have a good night rest, you have not communicated. Because as far as I'm concerned, I didn't get your meaning, and I just interpreted what you're saying based on my own understanding, and gave you a response. So it is the responsibility of the communicator to ensure that the audience understands what he or she is saying. So conciseness, you want to keep it short. Keep it short, sweet, and simple. That's the rule for conciseness. KISS, KISSS. Keep it short, sweet, and simple. You don't need to spend an entire encyclopedia to communicate something that you can always say in a few words. In fact, if you think you're that kind of person that talks a lot or you write a lot, you want to cut it down. Cut it down by 50%, then cut it down by another 50%, because you can always make your point in a few sentences, with a few sentences. One of the things that makes this, what we're saying about conciseness, one of the powerful things about conciseness, if you look at Instagram videos go for 60 seconds. So it means that you can make because they know that you can make a lot of sense within 60 seconds. That you can even make a lot of sense less than 60 seconds. One of the videos I have on social media that had the most reach is about 10 seconds video. Imagine what sense can you make in 10 seconds? Somebody may be asking. It is true, you can make a lot of sense within 10 seconds. An advert, if you're concerned with the media, and they're selling advert slots on TV, it's always 60 seconds, 45 seconds, 30 seconds. There is even 5 seconds, even for advertisement. So if they have all of that, who are we not to cut down whatever we're saying to time? Because whether you're an orator or you're a senator, brevity. Brevity is the soul of any speech. You want to keep to time. And still speaking about conciseness, when you're given a time slot, you want to ensure that discipline is that you spend maximum of 80% of the time that you were given. 80% of the time that you were given. But there are people that when they are talking, when they've exhausted the 100% of the time, they will now say, as I begin to round off, and then they would have spent another 15 minutes. They will now say, so in conclusion, at the end of the day, it's a presentation that is supposed to be meant for 45 minutes. They take up to 2 hours. Do you know anybody like that? Do you know anybody like that? Respond to me if you know anybody like that. Let me see you. Let me see your responses if you know anybody like that. People that their message will go from 45 minutes to 1 hour to 1 hour 15 minutes to 1 hour 30 minutes, then maybe up to 3 hours, and they'll be saying to you that one of your lecturers, now, Nelly, how do you feel when you're in that kind of class? Oh, Stephanie said she was like that. Oh, great, 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 great. Always demanding extra. Senator, oh, there's a senator, like that. But you'll be bored, right? Whatever the person is saying doesn't make any sense to you again. You'll be bored. So we've talked about conciseness, we've talked about clarity, we've talked about correctness as well. So the final thing I want to talk about on the verbal, which may be the final thing I'll be talking about today, is structure. Structure is very important. Structuring your presentation. You see, for all of us, I remember in secondary school when you were learning how to write essay writing, comprehension. Even in primary school, I remember the exercises that my teachers used to give us that time. How I spent my last holiday, right? In primary school. So you should write how I spent my last holiday. If you do remember how we used to write at that time, for those who wrote, remember how we used to write that time, there will always be a body. Sorry, there will always be an introduction, then body, then conclusion. The purpose of your introduction is to gain the attention of your audience. The purpose of your body is to share your thoughts with your audience. And the purpose of the conclusion is to call your audience to action. Again, the purpose of the introduction is to gain the attention of your audience. The purpose of the body is to share explain. 2, you state it, you explain. 3, you state it, you explain. And then 4, you state it, you explain. 5, you state it, you explain. And then you go into your conclusion. That is the way to work the structure. So you always have a body. You always have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. Whether it's a one-on-one conversation, or you are writing a memo, or you're standing in front of 1 million people to present, you should always have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. So, people, this is where I'll be rounding off the session today. I hope we've been able to learn a few things. A lot of things to talk about in public speaking, but this is just a crash course. And I want to say thank you to my sister, Ifi Oluku, for the opportunity. Thank you, everybody, for your participation in this. Stephanie, I remember Stephanie very well. From Stephanie to Bulo to Asmao to John. I remember John. To who else do I remember? Who else do I remember? I remember Olushola. Then Rolake. There's a Rolake. Rachel. Sheyi. Stephanie again. Yes. So thank you very much, people. I guess it's time for Q&A.
Thank you so much, Mr. Salami, for such an enlightening session. Thank you for helping us improving our social skills and speaking like champions. A lot of us have learned new strategies, new ways we can speak confidently and speak as champions. So the floor is open for your questions. If you like to be unmuted to ask your question, please indicate, or otherwise you can send your questions by chat. Please feel free to ask your questions.
Okay, people, let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay.
Yes, there'll be a recording. Okay, let me start by asking Coach Abiola. So how do you measure an emotionally intelligent speaker? Because I know you also talk a lot about being emotionally intelligent, when speaking. So how do you measure that? You spoke about, well, you've given us the basics, you've given us, the basics of speaking, such as this, speaking structurally, speaking with clarity and all. But how does that come to bear when it comes to being emotionally intelligent?
Okay, one of them is when your audience confronts you, or when your audience is asking you a question, or when someone in your audience becomes confrontational. There are many times that you may be speaking and then somebody raises his or her hand to ask a question, and you realize that the person doesn't necessarily have a question. The person maybe wants to debate everything you've said, and the person may even be moving into being rude or being insulting while you're presenting, or maybe some people in the audience, they are booing you, right, while you're presenting. Emotional intelligence shows in how calmly you handle the situation, knowing that you are the star for that moment. And whatever any other person in the audience does may not necessarily trend. People may not necessarily talk about it as much, but your reaction to what they are doing is much more important. So it's about being calm, ensuring that you don't allow them to drag you into an altercation, right? Just keeping quiet and ensuring that you attempt to explain yourself the best way you can with a bright smile on your face, because the spotlight is on you, the camera is on you, you're the star for the moment, and stars don't cry.
Oh, thank you so much for that. There was also another quote that actually took down. He said, "Communication is a language of leadership." And we're a leadership-based organization. Virtually everyone on this platform today are leaders. So how can that reflect in our leadership abilities? How can we put our communication to use when leading?
Okay. So I shared a few things that we can do today. One of the things that came back to mind is brevity, keeping things short, sweet, and simple. So whether it's a conversation, which is words one-on-one, or it is even a training session, right? We want to make sure that we use the easiest of words for people to understand. We want to ensure that we don't just take their time unnecessarily. Meetings don't have to last for 2 hours. You can have an impactful 15-minute meeting. So far, you've properly planned what you want to discuss, and you've already given people the roles that they are to play in the meeting beforehand. Not that we show up at the meeting, and then that's when we start debating what it is we're discussing or what we are not discussing. So that's one of the ways to improve communication, even in leadership. So public speaking is just one aspect of communication. Communication is it's a broad discussion. Negotiation is part of communication. Mediation is part of communication. Relationship building is part of communication. Persuasion is part of communication. But across all of them, brevity, keeping it short, sweet, and simple, and keeping people excited the way we are delivering is critical.
Okay, I'm going to keep asking questions. I have quite a number of questions, but the show is not for me, so I expect us to send in our questions. I'm interested in that.
Where are my friends? Where are my friends? Where is Bolu? Bolu, where are you? Nelly, where are you? Henrietta, where are you? John, where are you? Especially John. John told us that he has no stage fright, and the same John said that he's not surprised that I have stage fright. I mean, because John John seemed to be here. So I mean, maybe I am still here. I'm still a learner. John, ask me a question. I want to hear from you.
Bolu said I'm here.
Well, maybe I guess the session was clear enough.
I have a question.
Okay, so who's asking? Who's that?
Okay, I am. Right. Can I go?
Name? I don't know who's talking.
My name is Nelly. Nelly Helen.
Yeah, Nelly, my friend.
All right. Thank you, sir, for this very enlightening and eye-opening session. So I'd like to understand how a public speaker doesn't get to sound, is it monotonic or boring? Like sometimes you get to speak on one topic often, and then it's as though you've crammed all the lines, like you have everything offhand. But then if someone gets to attend like multiple sessions, like the vibe will not be genuine. So, for example, I get to be called to speak on a particular topic often, that is capacity building in space law and space awareness in Africa, almost every week or every month. So I just tend to like, it's now so handy, I tend to like cram the lines, like how do I get to sound more genuine and real?
Okay, great question, Ali. It's about not cramming your content. It's about mastering your content, knowing your content. For example, this evening, I don't have any cheat sheets. I don't have anything that I'm using. But because I know, because I'm a subject matter expert on this, right, I could deliver, whether it's 45 minutes or even a couple of hours, I could continue teaching with examples without using anything. Why? I've done this over time. I have mastered the craft, right? I designed the content and then I've mastered the craft. But when you are cramming, it may be an issue. I understand, Nelly. Perhaps you were part of the literary and debating society in your secondary school, and you remember the way people used to do debates is to cram. Good day, ladies and gentlemen, Accurate Africa, panel of judges, as my co-debaters and students. I'm here to oppose the motion that says Nelly, sorry, I'm here to promote the motion that says Nelly is a fine girl. Why is Nelly a fine girl? Nelly is a fine girl because she's this. Nelly is a fine girl because now all of those things you're saying, you're crammed there. And then at the end, you say, I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you and not to confuse you that Nelly is a fine girl. Now, that is secondary school debate for that level. So when you come to presenting, you need to be what you are presenting. You need to know what you're presenting, and you also need to be what you're presenting. And that's even critical. Because you see, you can't afford not to be authentic, in the things that you're sharing. So you're talking about space, for example. Is that what you say your topic is?
Yeah.
Okay. So have you been to the space before? If you've not been to the space, have you watched movies? Have you watched movies and series regarding the space? Is that what really interests you? Because there are always new ways, there are always novel ways of sharing the same thing. There are always novel ways of sharing the same thing. So when I cited an example for you I returned from the US, I went on Channels TV. I have loads of examples for that point. That's just the one that came to mind easily. So it can't be boring because there are loads of examples that I can use to illustrate what the point is. But the critical thing is you want to be a subject matter expert in that area, not by cramming the content, but by mastering the content and by being the content. Having it flow through you.
Can I add a little voice to what you are saying?
Please, who's adding? Let us know your name.
Okay, my name is Iyw Lushola. That has not changed. So,
okay, cool.
So I just want to say this, that I know there is a club called Toastmasters. And yeah. Toastmasters, we take you through all the rudiments of stage fright, of how to get yourself organized. I think why most of us are not asking questions here is because this is good and it's a refresher course too. I learned a lot from Abiola. But if you join Toastmasters Club, they're all over Lagos. You can Google it. You will see there. They will take you through the first. You have to deliver almost 40 speeches before you can become a DTM with a lot of project as well. All what you are saying about how to organize your speech, how to get your vocal variety, your facial expression, your everything that you will need, all the all those pause fillers, everything we go, they will take you through all of that. And that will help you a lot. But that's why I normally ask people. fine. Yes, we have experts in this, but what Abiola today is a product of so many activities, so many tests as before he becomes a subject matter expert. So you can start with that. And when you start with that and you are listening to, for instance, for me, I learned a lot from him about various locations, Nigeria, I mean, the Northerners not be able to pronounce F very well. I didn't know all this before because I'm an engineer. I don't know all these things. I don't know anything about linguistics. So now he was able to because when he was saying this, I remembered Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. I remember Sadana. Those people, when you hear them speak, you'll be wondering, are they from the north? But these are the he was able to take us back then to what we need to do to be able to speak at any level. To can help you out in this regard. And I mean, if he's a member, Sheyi is a member, Bosse, Diola, these are veterans. They will tell you we can go there, join, and I'm telling you, you will love it. You will surely love it. I just want to add to what Biola is saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Shola. Just to echo that, at some point I was Vice President Public Relations for the premier Toastmasters Club in Nigeria. That's Eagles Toastmaster. So Toastmasters is a great platform for you to hone your skills. So you learn, then you come to the platforms to practice, and you remain consistent in your growth. Yes.
Okay,
So
there's another question from Bolu. How do I make my introduction short but on point?
Okay. Make sure that your introduction, just use a quote. Start by using a quote. Quotes are short. I mean, quotes are not, most quotes are, you don't necessarily find a 7-sentence quote. You probably have a 1-sentence or maximum a 3-sentence quote. Start with quotes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bolu, blah, 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 blah. I'm here to talk to you about so and so. And I begin with sharing this with you. According to so and so, he or she said this, that, will not be that, and that. And then you move on. So focus on using quotes. John is confessing. John, it's okay. Oh,
John has admitted finally. Admitted. What are the best ways to fight stage fright? Abiola answered that question earlier on, but perhaps you may want to shed more light on that.
So one of the ways, perhaps the one I did not say, is just do it. Go there, do it. Let me cite my example for you. So I was in primary school. I was Christian. Then we attended this church, and every Sunday the pastor will say, "Who has a testimonial? A testimonial to share." And I will look around at the church. I'll just raise my hand and say, "Yes, I do." Now, before raising my hand, I didn't have anything specific in my mind to say. And so then I will stand up. Of course, everybody will clap for me to stand up. But they don't know that the more they clapped, the more my fear increased. So, but I always told myself that, just go out there, just do it. Of course, I will shake from my seat to the front. Hello, somebody needs to mute their sound. There's some interference.
No, when I reach out, I just...
People, somebody needs to mute. There's an interference.
Stephanie, please mute your mic. I'm trying to mute everyone from my end here.
So good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
Thank you.
So please let me know when I should continue.
Can you hear me, sir?
Do let me know when I should continue.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, so I was saying that I'll just always go to the front to speak. And when I get outside, when I get out or in front of the church, I'll say, well, I want to thank God for my mother, for my father, for my siblings, for blah, 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 blah. And when I finish saying it, I will shake back to my seat. What I didn't know I was doing to myself at that early stage is I was grooming myself for this. So as I kept on doing it, as I kept on speaking, the fear started leaving me because practice makes perfect, right? So what you want to do is practice, practice, and practice. Don't say because you have stage fright, you won't step out to go and, courageously do something. Step out, just do it. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is that you have fear, you feel fear, but you have the willingness to keep on doing it in spite of the fear.
Wow, that's powerful. Courage is not the absence of fear, but courage is doing it in spite of fear. Well, if there's no other question, I think on this note, we're going to end the session. Okay, is that Stephanie?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
The issue is that whenever I'm trying to speak publicly, I always ramble. Like, I always get distracted, lose focus, and I won't be able to remember what I said. Even if I write it down, I always find myself being nervous and I start speaking very fast. And at the end of the day, I make a huge mess of myself. So I don't know, is there any way I could deal with that? No matter how hard I try to concentrate and focus, even if I write down my points and bullets down, I still ramble.
Okay, good. Have you tried this in front of a mirror with yourself alone before?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when you do this in front of a mirror, what happens?
Well, when I do it in front of a mirror, I feel like I won't have an opportunity to repeat it again. But at the end of the day, when I go outside and it happens, I can't do that. The crowd is not a mirror.
Yeah, I like that. The crowd is not a mirror. So what you want to do is to turn your crowd to a mirror mentally. Now, let me ask you, when you see the mirror, when you are presenting and you see the mirror, what do you see?
Myself.
Yes, continue. What else? What do you see yourself doing?
I see myself talking, trying to pass my opinion, my point across. But at the end of the day, it's not really working.
No, don't let us get to the but yet. Let us celebrate the win that we have. Let us see how to export that win to the stage. So tell me more. When you're talking and you're looking at yourself in the mirror, how do you feel? What do you see? You are Nelly, right?
No, I'm Henrietta.
Okay, Henrietta. So Henrietta, and you see them, you're looking at the mirror. How do you feel? What do you think about that person you're seeing in the mirror?
That's just myself. And that's all. I see me, and I don't know. Anytime it happens, I see it keeps on
How are you
weighing me
performing
down.
in that mirror? How are you performing in that mirror you're seeing?
I'm very serious, very formal. That's
Are
it.
you excited about what you are seeing in the mirror?
No. Yes, very excited.
You're really excited about what you're seeing in the mirror.
I think I'm okay.
Okay. No, I'm not asking if you're okay. I'm asking if you're excited about what you see in the mirror. Because let me tell you something. Winning is an inside job. It's important that you prepare, yes, and you see yourself, you visualize yourself succeeding at doing this. You practice in the mirror, and you are excited about what you are seeing in the mirror, and put that in your mind as what you want to deliver when you get on stage with people. And when you get there, you don't have to look at people's faces immediately, right? You don't have to look into, when I talk about eye contact and how to look at them, you don't need to look at them immediately if you think that looking at them distracts you and you start rambling. You also don't need to listen to the voices in your head, because there are times there's just some whisper I told you about myself when I used to go out in the church to go and share testimonial. There's always a whisper, something saying that, you see now, you will fail. You know, that girl is in church, that girl that you like, that you're with, you come out now, you make a mistake. She will not listen to whatever you have to say. All of those words, you're going to disgrace your family. Your siblings are here, your parents are here. All those words, you may not know what to say. You may use bad grammar. Oh, you're not dressing well. All of those things, right, that you block them out of your mind and see how we can replicate the exact thing you see in the mirror. So one of the things you want to do is take yourself less seriously. Take yourself less seriously. Don't be too serious. If you get to the front, you can even laugh at yourself. And by the way, speaking of emotional intelligence, one of the things you want to do consistently when you're on stage is you can laugh depending on the topic. Anyway, the bright smile does not hurt, because when you smile, also you give yourself a positive energy. Give yourself positive energy, and positive and negative energy cannot cohabit at the same time. So these are a few things you want to do. Replicate this mirror reading. Make sure that what you are seeing in the mirror is something you're excited about, not just that you are okay. Something you're really excited about that you want to go and present. You are looking at the mirror, you're looking at yourself the exact way you want to look when you're on stage presenting. That's what you want to do. And when you get on stage, please put a bright smile on your face. Take yourself less seriously, and then focus on the topic. Engage the audience. It's another thing that can help. You can begin by asking a question, not necessarily even a quote.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, there's a question from Stephanie Obanaya. As a public speaker, which is more important, content or delivery?
Both. None is more important than the other. Both. You can't afford to be you can't afford to have all the skills and then you are empty. And there are a lot of people like that. You don't want to be that kind of person. Empty. Yes, you can do all the bright smiles. You can do all the jumping around. You can keep it short, sweet, and simple. But you need to have something to deliver. See, there are a lot of people who ditch content. They just focus on delivery. They focus on packaging. I say one of the descriptions of an empty person, this person is somebody who has packaging but zero content. The packaging is great, but the content is awful. You don't want to be that kind of person. You want both your packaging and your content to be super excellent. I mean, you want to have a great packaging because that's what people will see first, and then let them see you and be wondering who is this? Who is this lady? I beg, that's how they'll be looking fine. They don't have anything to offer. And by the time you open your mouth to speak, you just leave them like this. That's exactly what you want to do. And I've seen this play out many times in the work that I do. You find out some people who dress well, they're there to show swag, but when it's time to really bring out stuff, no depth. You don't want to be that kind of person. Based on this interaction, because I know you're a champion, you can't afford to be that kind of person. So your content should be great, your packaging should be great, your delivery should be great. Very important.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Most welcome.
Good evening, sir. Please, I have a question.
Please, who am I speaking with?
This is Asmao.
Hey, Asmao. Yes, you've been contributing. Fire.
Good evening. Okay, thank you.
Please, I want to ask question. Good evening.
Okay, can we hear Asmao first?
I'm Moyo.
Okay, Moyo, just hold on. Moyo, let us hear from Asmao. After Asmao, we'll take Moyo.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So my question is, I get that having fear while speaking in public is normal and kind of it's normal, yeah. So, but what matters most is the ability to control it and then take charge of your body and gestures. But I don't know. I think my problem is not in the physical shaking and fidgeting, but I don't know. No matter how I try to overcome it, I just feel like there's just this shaking. I just feel like I always feel my voice shaking, and then some people don't often see, but then me within myself, I know that okay, listen, I'm saying it well, but then my voice just keeps shaking. How can I overcome that?
Well, the first way to overcome it is to know that you don't have any problem, because you said that your problem is not this, that your problem is that. it is not a problem, right? It's a challenge that you are seeking improvement. And the good news for you is that people don't want to hear it from you. You are the only one that notices that. So what you want to do is to speak some more, is to do this more, so that we don't hear that thing again. So do it some more. It's great that people don't hear you do it. It's great that it's not even affecting your presentation. It's just you hearing yourself that way. So you want to do it some more so that you can increase your belief in yourself, because it's important for you to believe in yourself. Even when other people believe in you, that is not enough. It's important you believe in yourself. So do this again and again and again and again. So Asma, I hope that helped.
Yes, it did. Thank you very
Good.
much, sir.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. Moyo, can we hear from you? Is Moyo still there?
All right, sir, can I ask my question?
Please go ahead. Moyo, I can hear you. Well, while waiting for Moyo, I saw a question from John in the chat asking for how do you deal with, the summary of that question is, how do you deal with feedback? Now, when people are giving you feedback, says, how can one handle the fear involved in business, listening to what you're saying, like in defense? So when you are talking to people, remember, we shared something about emotional intelligence earlier, right? It's not a debate, you're sharing your thoughts. And even if they want to say something, allow them to say, and if they give you feedback, say, oh, thank you very much for the feedback. And you can also help them, because some people will think they're giving you feedback, but what they're giving you is feedback words, right? So feedback is about recommendation. Feedback is focusing on the solution. It's focusing on what you can do better. Feedback doesn't focus on your error. So even if the audience focuses on your error, you can ask them, okay, better next time. And also for us, when we're given feedback, our focus shouldn't be on the error. Our focus should be on recommendation on what to do about the error. So John, I hope that helps. Moyo, are you still there?
Okay, Moyo actually, she typed out her question earlier in the chat room. Her question is, in the case of brevity, what can be done when the audience wants more time?
Okay.
In the case of brevity, what can the audience do?
Okay,
or
so
what can you
if the audience wants more, you give them. So let me start an example for you. This session was supposed to be 45 minutes of my presentation and then 20 minutes of Q&A. But I think we've gone beyond 20 minutes now for Q&A. So, and it's because this is audience driven. So if the audience wants more, you give them. That is why you have your preparation. You don't just prepare for the time slot you're given. You make sure that you have as much as you can give regarding the subject or the topic of discussion, And hey, if you don't have more than what you have given, let them know that you don't have more than you are giving. Don't attempt to answer the question that you don't know the answer. And another thing you can do is you can always refer them, to places where they can gain some more knowledge. That's what you can do.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, if that is Moyo. Moyo, I just answered your question. I hope that was your question.
Sir, can you hear
Moyo,
me?
Yes, Moyo, I can hear you.
All right, I'm really sorry. It's very painful how I continue to get disconnected on this thing. Like, if there's a crack. I asked two questions and I couldn't hear when you answered them. I'm really sorry for taking it back. The first one was if there was going to be, like, if there is a recording that we could have personally.
Yes, I'm told there's a recording of this. This session is being recorded, so you will get it. And your second question was what?
And the second question was, I asked that when you talk about brevity, I was thinking, sometimes what if the audience just want you to continue talking, they are enjoying your speech and your presentation. And most of the time it happens during the church settings. So what will you do at that time? Though you're constant with your time anyway.
Okay. So when you are presenting to any audience, know that the most important party is the audience and not you. So if your audience is asking for more and you have more, give. If your audience is asking for more and you don't have more, you can direct them to where they can get some more. But don't attempt to want to give them more of what you don't have, right? You don't want to lose credibility as a person. Because when you say what you don't know, then you start losing your credibility. There's a quote that says that when money is lost, nothing is lost. When health is lost, something is lost. But when character is lost, everything is lost. So you may lose credibility. You lose, the great work that you've done, nobody may remember. They will just remember that you told them something that is not true. So if they want more and you have it, give it. If you don't have it, let them know you don't have it, and then you can refer them to where they can get it.
All right, sure. Then the third question is about pronunciation. When I used to have this issue with pronunciation, though people don't really used to believe like I couldn't pronounce some words. Especially I'm the kind of when I just see words, I'll just like I done it to Yoruba, like the very first one you talked about. So just try to explain it in what I understand, but not able to pronounce it, especially those I, he, like ear, all those phonics. Not very good at it.
Okay. So what's your question?
So in that kind of situation, are you meant to bother and you have a presentation? At sometimes when I just see those pronunciation, even with the fact that I could even pronounce it well, but because of the fear of I don't pronounce words well, so I just say it, not even knowing if it's correct or not, but just know that I'm getting to the point. Is that right?
Okay, so Moyo, it is better for you to say something wrong and be corrected than for you not to say at all and you don't learn. You don't have a clue. So what you want to do is, one, get to learn, study the dictionary. Now, not the meaning dictionary, there's a pronunciation dictionary. It's called Daniel Jones. You can get a Daniel Jones dictionary, and you can even always go online to listen to the pronunciation of words. And by the way, the expression, that word is pronounced. But when it is in the other form, it is pronunciation. It is N-U-N, not N-O-U-N. That should also inform the way that you pronounce it. Pronounce is N-O-U-N. Pronunciation is N-U-N. So it is not pronunciation, it is pronunciation, N-U-N. So get to listen to online, get to listen to how words are pronounced. Then also the kind of movies you watch. This is where you need to cut down on some local movies, even local movies that they are speaking English. Some of them speak very terrible grammar. Some of them speak very wrong English. Very wrong English. So you want to pay attention, watch British movies, watch American movies. They pay attention, for most of them, they pay attention to the way they speak. Watch Channels TV as a local station, highly recommended. Watch CNN and BBC,
Yeah,
pay attention to those.
Especially
so to help.
because I'm not.
You're not what? Moyo, I can't tell what you're saying, but I hope you get what I'm saying. Okay.
Thank you so much, Coach Salami. Thank you, everyone. I think that will be all. Is there another question? I think
How do we get?
Hello, Moyo.
How do we get the recording?
Okay, the recording will be available on our YouTube channel at Impact Your World Leadership Initiative. So you can visit our YouTube channel, yes, at Impact Your World for the recording.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Can we take one last question from Fauza Adekoya?
Okay, go ahead, Fauza.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening, Fauza.
I want to say a very big
Thank you to our lecturer. Thank you for your presentation today. So my question is, I read somewhere that if you are in a gathering and you are giving your presentation and someone should ask you a question, someone you want to ask you the question, you don't point your finger, you raise your hand. So in a situation where you want them to ask you a question, like how do you do that? Because in a setting where they are way older than you, it will be very, if you know you can't take all the questions, it will look rude if you don't pick some people, because you might not know the first person that raised manage that situation.
Okay, so how do you go about it? It's the question, right? Pausa. Pausa, can you hear me? Pausa, I can't hear you.
Sorry.
Okay.
You can't hear me.
Yeah, so I heard that how do you manage answering questions after your presentation, right? Especially if the people there are older than you. What you can do from the beginning of your presentation is to state that, oh, I have 5 minutes for this presentation, and I'll take questions for 20 minutes, and I will only be able to take 4 questions or 5 questions. And so when you finish the presentation, you can ask who has questions. Remember, I'm taking 5 questions. So who is number one? And okay, yes, the lady in the blue top, you're number one. Then another person, okay, the gentleman in the green top, you're number 2. Oh, the lady wearing hijab, you're number 3. And just like that. And then when you exhaust the 5 slots, if you still have time, you may now extend it to them. So you gave the rule before.
Okay.
Yes, give the rule of engagement before you engaged.
Okay, can we have Akim and
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so this will be the final question. Akim, go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for the information you have shared. Please, my question is, what will you recommend for someone who wants to improve on English fluency? Is it by reading communication book or watching videos? Which one is more effective?
Okay, so I don't always believe in which one is more effective. I do everything. I do everything. So the movies I watch, I pay attention to the kind of movies I watch. I pay attention to the kind of things I read to improve my my capacity to communicate. So when I'm reading and I find an expression that is really unique, I can write it out. When I find a word that I don't know the meaning, I'll check the meaning of the dictionary. When I'm watching a movie or I'm listening to the news from a station where they pronounce words correctly, right? I pay attention to those things as well. So it's about paying attention. And also your circle, if you can as well, to make sure that the people around you, the people who speak right or people who want to speak right, and you are all learning together, it also helps. So the movies help, the books help, the association helps.
Okay, does that answer your question, Akim?
Sir.
Most welcome.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much.
Most welcome. Okay, so is this where we'll draw the curtain for today? Hello? Hello? Hello. Oh, okay, network. Anyway, people, let me say thank you very much for the opportunity to share thoughts with you today. Please feel free to follow me at Abiola Champ on all social media platforms. Abiola Champ on Instagram, Abiola Champ on Facebook, Abiola Champ on Twitter, and there are loads of videos for you to even watch on those platforms that are free. And as well on YouTube, you can subscribe on YouTube as well. It's Abiola Champ. There are loads of videos on all those platforms for you to watch and gain from. So thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Abiola Salami. I want to say keep rocking your world like a champion. It is Abiola Champ. Abiola, then CHAMP, one word. Let me type it into the chat box. Abiola Champ, because I see somebody asking. Champ, right there. So there's a website too, is www.abiolachamp.com. You can even pre-order, you can get some of the books from that website as well. So everyone, thank you very much for the privilege of being part of this. Yeah, we'd love to be in contact. You have all the social media handles. Follow, send a message, get across to me there, and myself or one of my team members will engage with you. So thank you very much, people. I see John_Ashidi already sent a message on Facebook. So thank you very much, people. Bye-bye. Have a great day and a great week ahead. Thank you.
All right. So if he's having network problems, so we hope she joins back before the end. We'd like to appreciate everyone for taking out time to join these impact conversations. And we hope to see you same time again next month. We'll be having a different speaker. So kindly follow us on all our social media platforms at Iyw Leadership Initiative. And the recording will also be made available on our YouTube channel in a couple of hours. So you can always go back there, Impact Your World Leadership Initiative on YouTube, and you can have a re-listen. So thank you very much for coming. We'll be taking the Iyw Anthem now.
I am ready. I am someone that will make a change. I'm determined. I'll take a step against all odds. Would be strong, impacting my world. And I will make this world a better place in the best way that I can. For when tomorrow and forever comes, I'll stand strong. We are ready. We are people to make a change. We're determined. We'll take a stand against all odds. We will stand strong, impacting our world. And we will make this world a better place in the best way that we can. When tomorrow and wherever comes, we'll stand strong. So we stand strong, 'cause we are ready. And we will make this world a better place in the best way that we can. When tomorrow and forever comes, we'll stand strong. We are ready. We are people to make a change. We're determined. We'll take a stand against all odds. We will stand strong, impacting our world.
All right, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe.